Have you ever wondered why your affirmations fail, your desires delay, or why nothing seems to move despite your faith? Could it be you've been feeling it wrong all along? You've heard it said, feeling is the secret. But what does that really mean? It means the how to feel it real is not just about emotion, it's about identification. To feel correctly is to believe you already are what you desire to become. Your inner assumption must match the reality you wish to see. The law of assumption is not activated by words or effort. It responds only to imagination and feeling fused as one. I once struggled to manifest what I truly wanted. I repeated the words, I visualized the image, but it never came. Until one night, I realized I had never felt it as real. That was the turning point. I began to feel wealth before it came. I began to feel loved before anyone arrived. I began to feel successful without the evidence. And slowly, like the dawn, it emerged. Because my imagination creates reality. To feel the wish fulfilled is to live in the end. It is to go beyond hoping, wishing, trying, and to become. The feeling is not anticipation. The feeling is satisfaction. You are not trying to manifest a thing. You are walking in the world as if you already possess it. Your body may still be where you are, but your spirit has leapt forward into the life you have claimed. That's how creation begins and ends in one moment. To feel correctly is not to feel emotional. It is to feel identified. If you desire love, then walk as love. If you want success, then stand in the energy of already being it. The correct way to manifest is not to wait for the world to convince you. It is to convince yourself so the world reflects it back. You cannot fool the law. The inner world creates the outer world, not by effort, but by vibration. If you keep wondering when it will come, you are feeling lack. If you keep watching for signs, you are feeling doubt. But when you stop looking outward and begin dwelling inward, as if it is already so, the world obeys. The world is a mirror. It reflects what you are, not what you want. And so the feeling before results becomes the sacred bridge. The bridge between idea and reality is walked by the one who dares to feel it done, even when their senses argue otherwise. You may ask, but how do I feel rich when I have no money? You pretend. Not as a lie, but as a spiritual rehearsal. You rehearse your desire, not with effort, but with emotional alignment. This is the true faith. This is the true act of creation. To feel full when the bowl is empty, to feel confident when the world rejects you, to feel free when you are still trapped. This is not delusion, it is dominion. The problem is not that you don't believe, it's that you keep wavering. You plant the seed with emotion and then you dig it up with doubt. True manifestation requires persistence in feeling, not effort, not force. Just silent loyalty to the new version of yourself. Every time you return to fear, or how will it happen, you are delaying the bridge of events that was already set in motion. You do not need to fight, only to persist in the inner experience until the outer aligns. Remember, subconscious programming responds to feeling repeated, not words repeated. That's why one deep moment of assumption can create more change than years of trying. The door is within. This world is not happening to you, it is happening from you. Your life is a projected film, and emotional alignment is the real. What you assume about yourself, what you feel about yourself, what you dare to claim in silence, that is what you see. You don't have to explain this to anyone. You don't have to prove it. You only have to dwell in the feeling until it becomes the only thing that feels real. That's when the bridge of incidents appears. Strange coincidences, sudden shifts, new faces, closed doors opening, all orchestrated by the unseen hand of imagination. You are never waiting. You are only deciding whether to believe what is outside or what is inside. One is temporary, the other is eternal. Faith in the unseen is not foolish. It is the blueprint of all creation. Feeling is identification, not emotion. To manifest, You must feel yourself to be the one who already has the desire. Your assumptions harden into facts. The law of assumption works through inner conviction, not outer effort. The subconscious responds only to feeling. Words and affirmations without inner emotion are powerless. You must persist in a new state. Doubt delays, but inner loyalty fulfilled. Your outer life is shaped by your inner speech. Change your self-talk, and the mirror of reality changes with it. To feel correctly is not merely to produce an emotional response, but to assume the identity of what you wish to become. Feeling is the secret, not because it stirs the body with sensation, but because it transforms the consciousness of the individual. The moment you truly feel yourself to be something, not by effort, but by quiet certainty, you become it. This is the spiritual law that governs manifestation. Desire is never fulfilled by waiting or asking. It is fulfilled the moment one shifts internally and takes on the state of the wish fulfilled. Emotion may accompany this change, but emotion is not the root. Identification is. Many people confuse excitement with true feeling. They believe that if they can hike themselves into joy or cry in desperation or repeat affirmations with energy, that they are moving the inner world. But this is not so. Real transformation happens when the inner man knows he is already what he has asked for, not when he tries to become it. The trying reveals separation. The assumption confirms union. When a man assumes he is wealthy, he does not strain to convince himself. He moves from a different center. His thoughts reorganize. His choices shift. His world rearranges to match the new identity silently accepted. The key is inner fusion, to fuse the desired reality with the current self. In other words, you must become the thing imagined. You must cease to desire and begin to be. This does not mean pretending in the shallow sense. This means walking in the spiritual awareness that it is already done. To feel correctly is to close the gap between what you want and what you are. It is to say inwardly, I am, and mean it. It is not hope, it is embodiment. It is not striving, it is surrender, not to the world, but to the new idea of self that now must be expressed. This is the only way reality changes, through the rearrangement of self. As long as a man sees himself as lacking, desiring, or trying, the world will reflect his effort. But the moment he sees himself as already the man he wants to be, the world reflects the man, not the effort. One cannot feel correctly while holding two opinions. You cannot be rich and poor, loved and unloved, chosen and rejected. You must pick one. And when you do, you must stay there inwardly, even when the outer world argues otherwise. The outer world is not the cause, it is the echo, it is the mirror. And the mirror never smiles first. The feeling you carry in silence, in your most private inner world, that is the force that moves mountains. The man who understands this no longer begs reality to change. He changes himself, and reality bends to him, not because he controls it, but because he aligns with the truth that consciousness is the only reality. To feel is to assume, and to assume is to create. You may notice this in your daily life. Imagine walking into a room where you already feel you are unworthy. You will see coldness where there is none. You will attract rejection even when it is not intended. Why? Because you brought your state with you. The state is not a reaction, it is a projector. The world plays the film you place in the machine of consciousness. And you choose the film not by effort, but by what you feel to be true of yourself. Therefore, to feel correctly is to select the film, load it quietly into your mind, and let the world play the scene back to you. There is no waiting involved. There is only faithfulness to the new identity. If you select wealth, you must feel yourself to be wealthy, not wishfully, but matter-of-factly. You must walk, speak, and rest in the knowing that what was once desired is now already yours and the invisible. This invisible will take form when you no longer question it. A man who assumes he is healthy does not check his symptoms daily. A woman who assumes she is loved does not look for proof. A soul that knows it is chosen no longer fears rejection. Why? Because their state has changed, and with it their feeling. True feeling is quiet. It is subtle. It is often invisible to others, but all-powerful. And because it is not rooted in action but in identity, it carries the full authority of the spiritual law behind it. When you feel yourself to be what you desire to be and persist in that assumption without looking to the world for validation, the world will conform. It must. The world has no choice. It does not create, it reflects. The only creative center is the one who feels, not with desperation, but with assurance. Feeling correctly is becoming the one who no longer needs to ask. It is the silent knowing that what you feel now must become what you see soon. This is not magic, this is law. All that you believe to be true of yourself and your world is what you are now living. The world is not separate from your assumptions. It is built entirely upon them. Every circumstance you call a fact was once an idea that was accepted, embodied, and felt as real within. The law is simple. What you assume to be true becomes your experience. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you assume. This assumption, though invisible, becomes the blueprint that reality follows without deviation or delay. It does not matter whether the assumption is noble or ignoble, positive or negative. The law does not judge, it simply reflects. There is no fiction in your world. That which appears around you is the outpicturing of your internal conversations, the embodiment of your inner states. You are not observing a world created by others. You are walking through the landscape of your own consciousness. That which you assume to be true of yourself, even if only in idle thought, is steadily arranging the facts of your world to reflect that belief. The mind is not passive, it is creative. Each assumption, when persisted in, solidifies into tangible form. This is why one must take care not just with desire, but with identity. You must not only know what you want, but who you are in relation to it. Assumptions are not casual. Even the ones you hold without awareness are working themselves out in the external world. When a person says things never work out for me, that is not a harmless complaint, it is an assumption. When someone believes no one ever notices me, that belief shapes the environment they walk into, not because the world is cruel, but because the world is obedient. It cannot resist the image that you hold of yourself. Your concept of self is the center from which all experience radiates. The world confirms it, always. There is no power outside your assumption. The conditions you call circumstances or coincidences are nothing more than mirrors of the self-permission you carry. If you assume health even in the presence of symptoms, health will move toward you. If you assume wealth even in poverty, avenues will open. If you assume love even in solitude, someone will be drawn. These are not accidents. These are laws in motion, stirred by the inner acceptance of a new state. The outer world does not respond to wishful thinking. It responds only to the one who knows and assumes that what they seek, they already possess. This assumption must be vivid. It must not be questioned or tested. It must be worn like skin. When you assume something, you do not analyze it. You live it. You may be surrounded by conditions that appear to contradict the new assumption, but your persistence in the new state will override the old facts. Facts do not hold power over faith. Assumptions are seeds, and the harvest is inevitable once they are planted with conviction. The invisible becomes visible, the idea becomes form, the formless becomes fact. You do not have to figure out how it will happen. That is not your work. Your only task is to enter the state, to assume the end and remain faithful to it. The bridge of incidents will come. Events will unfold. People will move. Doors will open, but they all respond to the silent internal shift that took place when you said in your heart, I am. That is the true creation. That is the beginning of the world you are now destined to meet. Your words may say one thing, but your assumptions speak louder. You cannot say I am rich while assuming poverty. The world will not respond to the words, but to the feeling beneath them. You cannot say I am loved while feeling forgotten. The assumption is the magnet, not the speech. When a new assumption is fully felt, the old world begins to die. things fall away, certain doors close, people may leave. But this is not destruction, it is transformation. It is the clearing away of what no longer matches the new you. Your job is not to mourn what's leaving, but to remain steady in what you have already claimed. The more loyal you are to your assumption, the quicker the facts of life rearrange to match it. You are not hoping anymore. You are commanding. Many people assume unconsciously. They walk through life reacting, blaming, waiting, but those who understand the law walk through life creating. They do not wait for the evidence before assuming. They assume first, and the evidence follows. This reversal is the true path of the creative spirit. The world says, I'll believe it when I see it. The law says you'll see it when you believe it. This belief is not blind. It is imaginative knowing. It is the quiet inner choice to become the thing hoped for before any proof arrives. And once that inner movement is made, the world by law must obey. All you have to do is decide who you are, not who you want to be, who you are now. The assumption is the claim, the feeling of being it now is the prayer, the loyalty to that state is the sacrifice, and the manifestation, the hardening of that unseen thing into form, is the reward that never fails. This is how the invisible becomes visible. This is how all creation happens. Not outside, but within. The subconscious mind is not moved by words, appearances, or effort. It is moved by feeling. It is the silent builder behind every visible structure of your life. You may speak 1,000 affirmations, read volumes of spiritual teachings, or perform rituals with diligence. Yet, if the feeling is absent, the transformation will not occur. The subconscious does not respond to what you say. It responds only to what you feel to be true. This is the foundation of creation. The subconscious is impersonal and impartial. It accepts every impression you allow to sink into it and reproduces it faithfully in your external world. It does not reason. It does not judge between good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It is not concerned with morality or outcome. It simply receives what the conscious mind impresses upon it, and it does so through the channel of feeling. That which you feel deeply, consistently, and with conviction becomes the program by which your life is governed. Most people attempt to change their world by outer force, by working harder, by negotiating with circumstances, or by repeating affirmations in the hope that repetition alone will rewire their destiny. But repetition without feeling is noise. It is the emotional charge, the belief wrapped in sensation, that penetrates the subconscious and gives it a new command. You cannot say, I am wealthy, while feeling broke, and expect transformation. You cannot say, I am loved, while feeling forgotten and manifest connection. The spoken word is only as powerful as the feeling it carries. To impress the subconscious, you must go beyond logic. The subconscious does not respond to reason, evidence, or proof. It is not moved by what you currently see. It is moved by the emotional energy that you sustain in silence, especially in moments of stillness, rest, and sleep. When you imagine yourself in a new state and feel it, real, as if it were already happening, that impression enters the subconscious and the wheels of manifestation begin to turn. You may not see immediate signs, but the process has begun. The seed is planted. When you enter the state of your wish fulfilled and relax into its feeling, you are performing the highest act of creation. You are doing what no external act can achieve. You are initiating change from the source. And that change, though invisible at first, will reorganize your life. Events, people, ideas, and opportunities will begin to appear, not because they were summoned by luck or coincidence, but because your inner world has shifted. The subconscious must honor the new feeling you have accepted as your truth. This is why sleep is so powerful. In the moment just before sleep, the conscious mind releases control and the subconscious becomes open and suggestible. Whatever you dwell on in those final seconds, whatever feeling you carry into sleep will be absorbed by the subconscious and impressed with great potency. This is not a moment for anxiety or regret. It is the sacred doorway to transformation. By falling asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you bypass resistance and allow the subconscious to recreate your world in the image of that feeling. It is also important to remember that the subconscious is always listening. You are never off the stage of creation. Even when you speak carelessly, even when you think casually, you are shaping your world. That idle worry, that passive fear, that quiet belief in limitation, these are not harmless. They are seeds. If allowed to remain, they take root. The outer world is their harvest. This is why you must become vigilant, not rigid, not fearful, but aware. Aware of the inner stories you tell and the feelings you permit to linger. To change your world, you must first change the feeling that you are nurturing. This feeling is not something you wait for, it is something you generate. You may think, how can I feel successful when everything around me contradicts it? The answer is, you imagine. Not with strain, but with surrender. You close your eyes. You see yourself already living the life you desire, and then, most importantly, you feel it. You allow the joy, the relief, the power, the love to fill you as if it were happening now. That is the key. Do not worry if the feeling fades. You are not being asked to sustain a high for hours. You are being asked to return to the state again and again until it becomes natural, until it becomes your home. The subconscious will accept whatever you persistently feel to be true, and once accepted, it will express it without fail. You do not have to beg. You do not have to strive. You only have to dwell. Dwell in the feeling of the new identity, and the world must conform. This is not a technique, this is law. And the law is always working, whether you use it consciously or not. The question is not whether you are impressing the subconscious. You are. The question is what you are impressing upon it. If you wish to change your life, change the feeling you live with. Choose the feeling that matches your desire. Assume it, wear it, sleep with it, and let it become the silent architect of your destiny. The moment you assume a new state, you initiate a shift in your reality. But the assumption alone is not the full work. It is the persistence in that state that brings it to fulfillment. The law is not activated by momentary desire, but by sustained feeling. To assume a new identity and then abandon it at the first appearance of contradiction is to uproot the seed before it has sprouted. Creation is finished, but your alignment with that creation must be constant. You do not need to labor. You need to remain faithful. Faithful to the unseen truth you have claimed as real within yourself. That is the persistence that transforms. Persistence is not effort. It is not willpower or stubborn resistance. It is the quiet conviction that what you have assumed is already done. It is remaining inwardly loyal to the state of the wish fulfilled, even when the senses report otherwise. The world outside may offer contradiction, delay, or even resistance, but if your inner man remains fixed, the outer must yield. The bridge of incidents will unfold. The facts of life will begin to rearrange, not because of force, but because law must obey the one who refuses to leave the state of fulfillment. The challenge arises when appearances suggest nothing is happening. The outer world may seem unchanged. Time may pass without signs. Doubts may whisper, but this is the test. Can you persist in the assumption despite appearances? Can you dwell in the invisible while surrounded by the visible? Can you walk as the person you have imagined yourself to be, even when the mirror still reflects the old image? If you can, you will witness a miracle, not because reality shifted on its own, but because your loyalty to the new state forced it to conform. The subconscious does not respond to fleeting desire. It responds to sustained feeling. To persist in a state means to carry its feeling as your dwelling place. It means to think from it, speak from it, act from it as naturally as you once did with your old beliefs. This persistence is not frantic, it is restful. It is not constant thinking, it is quiet knowing. You do not have to prove anything to anyone. You simply remain in the conviction that what you have assumed is now your truth. The word cannot help but reflect it. Every time you return to your old assumptions, you delay the process. You re-enter the atmosphere of the problem rather than remain in the solution. To persist means to refuse to be shaken by time. It means to let go of urgency and live from the end. If you imagine yourself healed, but each day wake up checking for symptoms, you are not persisting, you are questioning. If you imagine yourself successful but keep doubting with every unpaid bill, you are not persisting, you are wavering. But when you hold fast to the inner truth, regardless of delay, the world responds with astonishing speed. You may wonder how to persist when feelings fluctuate. The answer is repetition. Return again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remind yourself gently. Revisit the scene in imagination. Feel the tones of reality. See yourself already in possession of your desire and rest in that state. You are not trying to make it happen. You are living as if it has already happened. That is persistence. That is power. You will find that the more you dwell in the state, the more it becomes natural. The more it becomes natural, the more the world reflects it. Persistence does not mean you never feel doubt. It means you choose not to live in it. You may have moments of uncertainty, but you do not dwell there. You return to the truth. You remember who you now are. You correct your course, not with fear, but with faith. The mind may argue, the senses may scream, but you walk in the spirit of the fulfilled desire. You refuse to let appearances dictate your inner state. That is true mastery. To be unmoved by the temporary while abiding in the eternal. Every manifestation requires a gestation period. The seed of assumption must grow. But you do not cause the growth, your persistence does. The moment you assume the state and remain there, the law begins to operate. Things move. Invisible connections form. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. And yet, the process remains invisible. Until the day it appears, what you once only imagined stands before you as fact. But that fact is not new. It was created the moment you assumed it. The manifestation is only the echo of your persistence. The world will test your loyalty. It will present the old facts and ask if you still believe the new truth. Do not answer with your words. Answer with your feeling. Remain as the person you now are. Do not argue. Do not plead. Simply be. The persistence in being is what commands reality. When you persist in the new state, calmly, silently, and faithfully, your outer life will become a perfect reflection of the inner man you have chosen to become. This is the hidden path. This is the great secret. All things respond to the one who persists in the unseen as if it were already seen. Everything you see in your outer world is a direct result of the conversations taking place in the quiet corridors of your inner mind. The life you live is a mirror image of the dialogue you hold with yourself, what you repeat in silence, what you declare internally, and what you accept as true in thought. You do not create your world by external means. You create it by what you assume and reinforce in the realm of inner speech. Your inner dialogue is the most faithful servant you possess. It does not ask questions. It does not challenge. It simply obeys. You may be unaware of these inner conversations, yet they are ongoing from morning to night, and even in your sleep, you are speaking within. You are explaining, declaring, questioning, fearing, and imagining through the words you whisper to yourself. These words, clothed in feeling, become the commands issued to your subconscious. What you say internally with conviction and repetition becomes the law of your life. You may try to act differently, speak positively to others, and behave in socially acceptable ways, but if your inner speech contradicts those efforts, your outer world will still reflect what is inwardly dominant. A man may declare outwardly that he believes in abundance, but if his inner speech constantly reminds him of lack, of what he cannot afford, of what he has never achieved, then his environment will continue to echo that inner contradiction. The law does not respond to pretense. It responds to truth. And truth, in this context, means the reality that lives inside you. You cannot fool your creative center. It listens only to the dialogue you entertain privately. That is the womb from which all your experiences are born. The most dangerous speech is not what is said aloud, but what is muttered within. A person who walks through life saying inwardly, I am not enough, or no one sees me, or I always fail, is preparing a stage for those very dramas to unfold. It is not punishment, it is reflection. The outer world has no choice but to agree with your inner convictions. Every word you repeat inwardly is a seed. Plant enough of the same kind, and a harvest is inevitable. If you wish to change the fruit, you must change the seed. You must monitor, direct, and purify your internal speech. To understand this is to reclaim dominion. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the cause of them. If your life is filled with conflict, ask yourself, what am I constantly arguing about within? If you are surrounded by scarcity, ask, what do I keep affirming about my worth, my limits, my expectations? The answers will not be found in the world. They will be found in your mind. And when you identify the old dialogues that no longer serve you, you must replace them, not with empty affirmations, but with living words that match your desired state. The most powerful thing you can do is take control of your inner speech. Begin to speak to yourself as the person you intend to be. Do not wait for change to occur first. Speak from the end. Talk to yourself as one who is already successful, already healed, already chosen, already free. The words may feel foreign at first. The mind may resist. But if you persist, if you remain loyal to this new inner narrative, your subconscious will yield. It will accept the new command, and the world will shift to reflect the change. This is not about lying to yourself. It is about replacing the lie you have believed. The lie of limitation, the lie of lack, the lie of being separate from what you desire. You are not separate. You are one with your assumption. And your inner speech is the bridge that connects what you are now to what you are becoming. Every time you return to the old speech, you return to the old life. Every time you choose the new words spoken with feeling, you draw nearer to the life that already exists in potential. There is great power in being still and listening to what you are really saying within. Sit with yourself in silence and observe. Are your words building or breaking? Are they rising or retreating? Are they born of fear or faith? The answers will tell you everything about what you are about to experience. You do not need to ask the world for signs. Your inner speech is the only prophecy you need. As you go about your day, learn to redirect yourself. When an old phrase returns, one of doubt, defeat, or delay, stop and speak again. Speak deliberately. Speak as the one who knows. Speak not from the old state, but from the new one. This is how you reshape your future. This is how you align your reality. One quiet sentence, felt fully and repeated faithfully, can move mountains. Your world will rise or fall on the strength of your inner voice. Make it your own. Make it knowable. Make it true. Now you see the unshakable truth. Your reality is born not from outside forces, but from the inner state you choose to inhabit, the feeling you nurture, the assumptions you hold, the silent commands you issue within. These are the architects of your world. To manifest is to embody, to persist without wavering, to live from the end before the beginning appears. Your inner speech shapes your outer life, and your faithful persistence transforms the invisible into the visible. Do not wait for proof. Do not seek signs. Instead, turn inward and claim your desires already fulfilled. Live in the quiet, knowing that what you feel now must manifest soon. The law is exact and unyielding. When you feel correctly, persist loyally, and speak inwardly with conviction, reality must obey. You are the creator, the cause, and the king of your world. Embrace this power, and your life will forever be changed.